Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Sandra Sheffer, host of Racing the Races. Like I said, I was gonna have a guest on today. So I have Commissioner Dr. Katrina Touchstone from the city of West Park. She's gonna talk elections with me. The city of Miramar, Pembroke Pines, Coconut Creek, Deerfield Beach, and Sea Ranch Lake had elections.
Yes.
And the results came out. And there was a lot of stuff surrounding that. There was some negative ads because I'm in the city of Miramar. I was getting some flyers. Some of it was negative and all of that. So since she's ran for office a few times, we're going to talk to her a little bit about that. Even after you get elected, sometimes the negativity doesn't stop. So we're going to talk to her about how it is like once you're an elected official and you're doing your work, like what that experience is like. Because we also have some elections that are coming up on April the 1st that has the possibility of changing the course and the direction of the way the country is going, because the Democrats has an opportunity to take over the House on April the 1st if we can elect the 2 Democrats in Florida and the 1 Democrat in New York. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. She could give us some strategies if there's anything we can do on this end, even though we don't live in that area. And I think the audience does reach far, or maybe you guys know some people, particularly in the 6th district, United States House District 6, because that's over there where Cookman is, Bethune-Cookman College, over there by Daytona Beach and everything like that. I'm gonna need y'all. She might know some Wildcats. I know
I'm a rattler. I'm a rattler. So usually they rivals, but
she may know some Wildcats, so she can help us get involved. We're gonna talk about a little bit of what 45 turn 47 has been doing, and get just some reaction on that. So I've talked a lot. You can subscribe to the page. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the page. If you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and like the page, Racist. And I know most people watch it from my actual page itself, but all of it is good. So Dr. Touchstone, how are you doing? And thanks for joining me today.
I'm doing well, and I thank you for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to be on board and to talk all things politics.
Yes. So let's talk about the Miramar election results, because I saw that you posted something about the results, and the reason why I bring that up is because there seem to have been some little tension in the Miramar elections, because there was a slate with a group of people and there was another slate with a different group of people. I know our mayor, I'm a fan of his. I saw that he had a slate out. That slate turned out to not be a winning slate, unfortunately for him, I guess. And then the slate that you supported, that Matthew Chambers, Alexander Davis, all of those folks supported, all of those candidates ended up winning. And I took an opportunity to look at the numbers, and I see that people overwhelmingly were supported Yvette Colborn. The other 2 that in C3, which was Average Sherazade. In C4, it's Carson Eddie Edwards. He also won, but they won by like half of the votes.
Right.
So what, if anything, why were you in support of that slate of candidates? And what, if anything, do you want to say about what's going on in Miramar?
Well, I think that Miramar is one of the cities to emulate, being that they do have an all-black day. It's just like the city of West Park. They are moving progressively forward in the area of Miramar, expanding business development, community involvement, community programs and initiatives. I mean, let's just face it, Miramar has it going on. So I like to support candidates who are like-minded as myself as well, and believe in putting the community first and providing programs and initiatives and listening to the residents. So that's why I chose to support the incumbent Yvette Colborn. And I also decided to support Sherazade and Eddie Edwards as well. I've known Eddie Edwards. He's been putting on the Jerk Festival in the community and giving back, volunteering and so forth with Alexander Davis. So I thought that it was only befitting that, a like-minded individual to take that space that has been void since Commissioner Alexander Davis went to the county, that it was sufficient for her to have someone that has been working alongside of her to take that role and acquire that seat. Now, Sherazard is an open seat, so generally when I look at people, I look at what their campaign stands for and so forth, and I looked at a lot of the things that her platform stand for, and that resonates with me, and I know that that's something that Miramar could, benefit from. So I think that it'll be a well-working team, and inclusive of Maxwell Chambers and the mayor, Wayne Messam.
Yeah, so it's interesting because one of the things, because I was at one of the voting locations yesterday, a little bit in the morning for a couple hours in the morning, and then a couple hours in the evening. And I know that one of the things, some of the people who weren't supportive of that slate, they're like, all Miramar does is have parties, and we're tired of people that are having parties, right?
Right.
They're like, no, we need to get people that's not trying to just have parties. For me, I mean, I appreciate the fact that I don't necessarily have to leave my city to go to an event.
Correct.
And even if they say Miramar have a lot of parties, part of the reason why they may have a lot of parties is because they do something for all of the cultures.
Oh, exactly.
Every single one of the cultures, Miramar is gonna do it for it. I mean,
they're very diverse and inclusive as far as their residents' needs, and you can't do for one dynamic or one group or one economic group of your community when you represent everyone. Like even though they have their seat numbers just like the city of West Park, they're citywide. Right? Yeah. They serve all the residents. They don't have a specific district. So when they're up there making decisions on what quality of life initiatives they're going to provide for their residents, they're thinking on an inclusive basis to include everybody. And I think that that's fabulous.
Yes. And so other things, again, you ran before, and I was getting all kind of flyers. I was getting flyers about everybody from everybody. And some of the flyers that I was receiving was negative ads, right? I in training and everything like that. And then they talk about how effective a negative ad is and that type of thing. Particularly when you're talking about an election where you're probably only going to get 10% of the registered voters to come out anyway, because it's an odd year. It's not during a presidential year.
Right.
Did you have an experience with negative ads when you were running? And if so, how did that work? Well, you won.
Well, remember, Sandra, I've ran 3 times before I got, 2 times prior to the time that I got elected. So I've experienced quite a few nuances with running. So I have been a component are affected by, and excuse my dog in the background. Yes. He wants to get out, so just excuse that. Is it really loud? If so, I will move to another area.
I can hear him or her in the background.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna come back.
All right. And we're gonna talk a little bit, because like I said, one of the things that they were saying about the candidates that were running was that oh my God, they do too many parties in the city of Miramar. And I'm telling you, the residents of Miramar are actually okay with that, because they're very diverse in the types of events that they put on. And it's not only parties. We do things that celebrate Black History Month. They did something for Juneteenth. They bring in authors. I've gone to several events where they've had authors come in to talk about their book or issues of concern, right? I know that a couple last year, I think they had Joy and Reed come here. This year, I think John Hope Franklin that was here. I might have the name wrong, but we have prominent folks that come into the community, and they celebrate all the cultures: Hispanic, African American. They break down the Caribbean. They do something for the Jamaicans during Independence Day. They do stuff for Haitian Flag Day. It's very, very inclusive in the types of events that are put on. All right.
So as I was saying, I've ran 3 times. So I've experienced a lot of different politics is what I call it, right? You have the opposing side putting out certain information that may or may not be factual, right? And then you have your side of things. So basically, I'm also experiencing that currently, right? Mm-hmm. Now that I'm in office. I like to try to approach things face forward, right? and be proactive about things. So a lot of these things that are coming out are something that I've already proactively addressed, right? Because whenever I get wind of a situation, I try to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. But you still sometimes have that occur where you have people putting out misinformation. So the best way I feel like I address that then publicly, and I've also addressed these allegations and misinformation publicly. I have no problem being accountable for things that I do, but I think that sometimes clarification is needed, right?
So just in case, I don't know. Again, the show is always respectful, and this is not one of those platforms where I try to put people in a bad light, and I do no gotcha nothings over here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So is this something for those who are not familiar with the things that are being said? Is this something that you're willing to talk about and address right now? So
Yeah, I'm willing to talk about it and address it right now. Of course.
And I want to connect that. I'm asking that question if you want to address it because I want to connect that to some of the things that I see that's happening with the Democratic Party, for example, right?
Okay.
The party is always looking for perfection, right? They forget the fact that people are human, people have real lives, people maybe make mistakes. We don't always do our best every day when we show up, and we're always looking for perfection in people to the point where even if there's someone that's competent, that can do a good job, that's working hard every day, that's there for the people, they're going to only focus on maybe this one imperfection or this one flaw that you have in your life because they're always trying to find perfect people, right? And to the point where they lose good public servants, right? They lose good public servants and end up with people who are there purely for their own self-interest. They're not really there about community. So that is something that I think the party really needs to do better about in terms of always trying to look for perfection and then focusing on maybe one flaw that they have and throwing away their entire body of work. I know for the most part, most of these seats are nonpartisan, so it's not really supposed to be about that, but sometimes it actually is about that, right? So I make that point.
Correct.
Talk about what it is you're saying, because I've seen like really good people get thrown to the wayside because of one imperfect thing that they've done, or maybe even two, but their body that they have value, they should be able to continue to serve. Whereas on our other side, you know, they elect 34 times convicted felons that's completely destroying the country. They fall in line and do the foolishness, right? And then we're stuck with this because they're, you know, the Democrats are looking for perfection that doesn't exist, and again allow public service to not be able to serve. So I say all that to kind of bring you into what it is that I want you to talk about if you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So there are some allegations and fallacious allegations that where I have misappropriated my expense account funds. So as a commissioner, we get $4,000 in expense funds, in which we use it for travel, we use it for memberships. You know, it's basically like a discretionary fund that we're supposed to be using. I've seen other commissioners use their expense account for sponsorship opportunities. You know, you get all type of calls about coming to different events, sponsoring events, and so forth. So these particular expenses that they are saying that I misused for personal use, and let's just be clear, it was not used for personal use. I didn't personally gain from anything. I didn't use it to pay a bill, to pay a car note, to personally benefit anything with me. So one of the things that they brought up and they were saying that I misused was $46 for a valet parking ticket at an event that I went to where I was being honored in my official capacity. The next thing was a $60 Sam's Club membership, whereas I put on a lot of events for the community, town halls, and so forth, and a lot of the expenses have been coming from out of my own pocket. It hasn't been coming from an expense account because it was not something that was voted upon on the commission. So I've never been able to hold a town hall at any city owned property. I've always had to research that, provide refreshments, and so forth. So in my journey in getting refreshments and trying to think outside the box on how I could minimize the cost but maximize the benefit, one of the Sam's vendors who was at one of my events said, "Hey, your city is a nonprofit. We can provide you or donate in-kind food for your events. We can also provide gift cards for you to be able to give out to your residents. so forth, and provide resources where needed. So they said it will really be a benefit for you to join the Sam's Club business membership, because whenever you come to us, if you have a membership with us and it's a nonprofit, we will be able to do it as a donation. So I said, oh wow, that's a really good idea. So I signed up for $60 for the SAM membership with that in mind. I still have not even used the membership as of yet in that capacity. The next thing was I paid for.
We had 140. We had $106 so far.
We had $106 so far, right? So then the other thing is that I spent $103 on a ticket to the Leaders That Shine Gala, which is a Democratic event that is hosted by the Miramar Democratic Club, right? So that was $103 for that gala ticket to attend that and to support other people, other leaderships, right? The next thing was $1,250 for a sponsorship table at an event where I was being honored for the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. They asked for all honorees to basically sponsor a table. And so that's what I did. I was being honored, Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, great accomplishment, great achievement, being honored in my official capacity. So I thought that was appropriate expense as well. I even went an additional step further. I contacted our city attorney and I asked her, I said, after I was getting questioned by the city manager about the expenses not being historically used in that fashion, not that I broke any laws, I did anything unethical. In fact, he posed the question as though, I need to know what these expenses were for, because just in case the auditors want to know, right? But in turn, utilize that to try to make it seem or appear as though I misused funds, in which in fact I didn't. So they brought up this issue with the P card policy, right? So the purchase card policy is rules set forward as far as what you can do, utilize your purchasing card, which is basically a credit card. Mm-hmm. They have listed in the policy all of the prohibited uses, in which out of 10 prohibited uses, in all of the uses that I've identified was not something that was prohibited. So the city commission went forward to basically sanction me without any due process and so forth. But I want to back up a little bit.
So what do you mean? So when they have to sanction you, like, what's the vote on that? Because
it takes a majority vote for anything to pass in the city, right? Okay. So that's what commenced on October 16. They basically took matters into their own hands to say, hey, you were guilty of this, which was not factual, right? I even went so far as to ask our city attorney, for a legal opinion about it, because really only the Florida statutes really is what is implicated for elected officials. Whether or not I corruptly use my office, I corruptly use money for my personal benefit, and that was not something that I did. So the city attorney did not want to give an opinion on it. So she recommended, hey, why don't you reach out to the Florida Ethics, right? Why don't you email them so that they can give an opinion? And I did that. But by the time the commission took the action, that opinion was still pending, right? Okay, so I had not received it by that time. I even motioned and said, hey, let's table this until we get back the opinion from the ethics, because I don't feel like I did anything wrong or unethical, and you guys can't just make an arbitrary judgment that I did, right? So that process played out, and when maybe like a few days after that meeting, I got in contact with the director, Ms. Stillman, of the Ethics Committee, and the Florida Ethics Committee. And she was like, oh, it was an oversight. We didn't get back to you in time, but I do have to let you know that we're unable to provide an opinion because we only as a body provide prospective opinions, which means opinions on something that you're thinking on doing.
Oh, not if something has already happened.
Not if something has already happened. And she even went so far as to say, hey, your attorney should have known this, because we can't in good good faith give an opinion on something that already happened.
Mm-hmm.
If it was something for us to investigate, we would investigate it, and we would have to determine whether or not what the intent of your purchases was. She was going into all this, and basically she said, unfortunately, we could only give opinions on something that has not occurred yet.
Right.
So that left the matter up to subjectiveness, right? Without our city attorney opining on it in any way. Then you're argumenting. Your argument is, okay, you use your purchases for this. Now it's upon the body to decide whether or not these purchases are appropriate, right? Not that I violated the P card policy, because it's evident that with the rules of the P card policies, I did not violate anything. It's evident that I didn't do anything ethically, because when the ethics board gets something, they have a corresponding responsibility to investigate matters that they deem.
And it was not sent to the ethics board for any further investigation.
Correct.
So that's that whole politicking thing that goes on. And so I've also just, I'm not going to talk about any of my experiences, but last week when I did the show, I talked about how they always say, oh, politics is dirty, right?
Yes.
They always say politics is dirty. I'm like, no, it's not the politics that's dirty. It's the people that are dirty, right?
Correct.
It's the people in politics that's doing this dirty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We use that, they use that term politics is dirty to kind of take themselves out of the fact that they're the people that are doing the dirty things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that whole way in which we use language is important too. So yeah, so it sounds like it could be some of that going on again. I don't know, but I definitely have experience, and like about the comment I was just making about the party or just politics. I'm going to say more on the Democratic side, because again, just elected a 34-time indicted, convicted felon. So they clearly don't care, right? But we get into the Democrats on the other side. They get into this stuff looking for perfection, trying to not looking at the totality of the circumstances or the full body of work, and they pick things, because if you're looking for something that somebody did wrong, you will always find it. Like if you look,
absolutely,
because we're not
absolutely.
Right.
And this is basically, to me, it's a distraction, right? And it's another politic tactic to kind of derail what is supposed to be happening, which is working for the people, right? We've had all type of theatrical stunts happening since this recent election in November.
I did go to one meeting where they just shut the whole thing down and sent everybody home, and no agendas was. I was at that first one, and I was like, anymore. And I'm not saying, listen.
Since November, we've had 3 meetings. Yes.
No one person.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it was like it was
a lot going on.
And then it ended up not being a meeting. So yes, there is definitely some of that happened, and nothing on the agenda was addressed. I'm glad. I don't want to give too much details, because if people go, I know what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, like in that instance, it was a lot of blame to go around across the board.
Absolutely.
To get done, and I can see that there is some sense of frustration on the board, right, or on the commission. And the reason why I'm gonna talk about that too is because one of the concerns, we're gonna go back to the Miramar election. One of the concerns that people had of that slate of 3 is because the majority rules, right? So if you have a slate of 3, you may in fact have it where these that group that won together might end up voting together, right? I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen, but I think we've seen that, right? Because in the city of West Park, you may not agree, but it seems as though that there is some of that happening. Because prior to the new board that was sworn in November, there was a group of 3 that tended to vote the same way altogether. There's one of your commissioners, Joyce Miller, was elected. Was elected that day, and they kind of look at you guys as a group of 3. So what do you have to say on that?
I don't think that that's a bad thing, because in all levels of government, the majority rules, right? And you have to find like-minded individuals in order to get anything done, because you need that majority vote in order to push any agenda or any initiatives or any resolutions to pass. You need a majority. I mean, prior to us obtaining prior to the new additions to the board, that's how it always is. You're gonna have people that consist in the majority that think more alike than perhaps some of the others on the board. So it's always going to be where you have the majority rule. And I think that it's just best to have like-minded individuals in order
that are
for
working for the people,
that working for the
like-minded
people.
or working for
Correct.
the people, because people can be like-minded and they interested in
That's
selling
true.
buildings, right?
That's true.
They'll be
That's
like, well, we
true.
came here to sell property, you know what I mean, or
Right.
like whatever. So
I
yeah,
don't think that there's anything wrong with having like-minded individuals that see the vision or the goal that the community desires and is working actively to fulfill that goal. I don't think
absolutely.
there's anything wrong in that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And yeah, so some of the things with the election, at least in that 4 seat, I mean, I'm back into Miramar again, that seat
Yeah.
4. I think like I mean, I don't, you talked about Mr. Carson Eddy, but for whatever reason, I didn't know him. Like I was like, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know these guys. I didn't know him. So and I was like, well, did he do stuff on the east side? Is that why I don't know him? Because our city has that, we got that east-west problem over here, right?
Right, right.
And I don't know if that's what it was, but that was one of the few names that I heard about him in November when I knew he was running. But prior to that, I had not seen him. But all the other names I was familiar with, right?
Okay.
So some of that. So I was like, but I was like, in that particular group, I don't know if it mattered to me who won because I think all of those people were truly a group of public servants. Now, the person I was running against, a vet, I'm gonna say I had some problems with that. I kind of did, but and when I saw that that individual had to be a write-in candidate, I was like, there's no chance he's winning because ain't nobody finna come here and write no names. But
Right.
apparently 1,300 people did. So he got 1,300 people to come in and write his name in. And then in seat 3, I had some issues. One of the candidates I initially thought I would support, but I didn't like, they endorsed the person who was running against a vet, and I had a problem with that. I was just like,
Okay.
what we doing? What we doing?
That's why we do it, right?
So they lost my vote because I saw that endorsement, and I'm, that's just kind of, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Right, right.
Yeah, maybe if they had took some time to come talk to me to explain what was the rationale behind that, I might have been able to change my mind. But I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So.
Right, definitely. You have to stick with what has been working.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I definitely what's working, and then even with the seats that were open, you want people who are really coming in to do
absolutely doing the work of the people, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes in many political arenas, you have, like you were saying earlier, people who have their own agendas that is more so ego driven, to kind of put a notch on their belt to say, okay, I've accomplished this, I'm at this level, I'm here, just as another notch on the belt.
They getting stuff. They getting
right.
stuff.
Well, well, that too. Hey, they do get some backdoor deals because it's you have to be able to understand what your why is and what your purpose is, and when you're in it for genuinely to be a service to the people, then your why cannot be brought.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your why cannot be brought because you have genuine intentions to do the right thing and for the right purpose, and not just for a special select group of individuals. Are people who you think are supportive of you. You're going to make the best decisions for everyone that you are serving, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what you have to be in it for.
Yeah, so they get those, because one of the big things that's happening is like, a lot of developers are coming into cities that were traditionally, I guess they're getting gentrified is the word. I don't know what the word is, right?
They're getting gentrified.
Okay, so they got these developers coming into these cities, and because they want to do some things that were not historically being done in those cities, they're helping folks get elected. That's the way I said. They're helping individuals get elected. And I know those individuals are being helped to get elected so they can make decisions that are favorable to these developers. Is that something that the city of West Park is dealing with people, developers coming in, people trying to buy up land, and how does the commission play with that?
I think that we do have some of that going on. Even prior to me becoming the commissioner, I had concerns with that. Even way back when the city was trying to change the land use to the, for the TOC. I know that we've talked about that extensively before. I was, I was very against that because I thought that would usher in more gentrification and so forth. And it's proven to be that it has, right? So my thing is right now, my focus is on affordable housing. We've had maybe 25 city-owned properties. 5 of those properties were just recently used for our infill lot program to provide affordable housing to residents throughout throughout Broward County.
Okay, when they say affordable housing, what that mean? Because people throw out this word, right, to make it seem like, oh, it's gonna be affordable. But I'm like, to who, right?
That's
Like,
the thing too. That's one of the
what
things
does
that I
that
had
mean?
an
Like, to
issue.
who? Affordable to
Right.
who?
Well, it's definitely to me not affordable for the demographics that have historically lived in this community, right? Um, because the individuals that live in this community, the median income is no more than $27,000, right? So then when you have the comparability of our homes are going for 300 and something $1,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I've just heard recently that some of them are going for $690,000 for a basic 3-2. So that's not affordable, right? For people who are making a median income of $28,000. And this is something that can be fact checked by the census data that came out, right? So it's just, to me, we have to not just, for me and our community, we cannot just think about home ownership at this point, right? Because we also have people who are struggling in the renters department, right?
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of renters that are being very impacted by the increased influx in the amount for rent, right? And we have to do something to also combat that. So I sort of feel like we've allowed some developers to come in and not provide what the community needed as far as development, right? We had this one developer that we've given 3 city properties to, and they're on the main thoroughfares of our community on 441 and Pembroke Road, one on 440.
What does that mean, giving properties to? What does that mean?
They were given the city properties in order to develop, right? So we basically signed over the land to them as a form of partnership in order for them to develop something that I thought that we were going to have total input on, right? But it didn't turn out that way. One of the properties that was slated to be a shopping center, it was supposed to have 4 bays. We currently have BSO taking up 2 of those bays. And then we also have a realtor taking up 1, and we have a middle one that always has a turnover. So right now it's a spa. Now, the whole reason why we changed the land use was to allow for businesses to come in so that it can reduce the price tag on the residents have to pay, right? Because we're deficit in businesses in our city that help balance the property taxes that have to be paid.
So who made the decision to allow? Oh, because once you gave the property over, you had no say so in the tenants anymore, right? Once you
correct,
wow. Yeah.
correct.
Wow.
You have no say so in the tenants. You have no say so if they was to sell the property. So it's as if the city has a liquidable asset, right? Of value to the city, right? And what you're doing is you're giving away the people stuff for free, and they're not benefiting from it. Like, I could see us giving property and then, we benefit by jobs or businesses that could benefit the community, or housing development that could benefit, it has to come back to being a benefit to the residents when you're going to just invest their things. Because it's really supposed to be an investment. So you're investing on their behalf.
So BSO's renting that space. There's no money that comes back. The only money that y'all may get back is maybe the taxes that business.
Correct. The taxes, the business tax receipts, stuff like that. But the funny thing that you're bringing up about BSO renting, BSO is not renting. We pay the lease for BSO. So it's as if this is supposed to be a conjoined property for us, right? For the city benefit, and we aren't getting anything off of it because whatever we're getting in taxes, we have to pay back to the developer and lease money for BSO. So it doesn't make
Okay,
any.
so is that something moving forward when the city is deciding to give away land to developers? Are there things
Let's
that you
stop right there, Sandra. We
okay?
shouldn't be giving away anything.
I
Okay,
agree, but I'm
we shouldn't
saying
be giving away our liquidable assets. That
I
is what I
agree.
want us to stop doing.
Not
I
on the
mean,
promise, not on the
granted,
promise to do the right
granted,
thing.
granted, the developers did give back a portion to our community benefit funds that have been helping residents to do small home repair grants. But let me just give you
Isn't
an
that the one that's got
idea.
$3,000 max or something like that?
Right, right.
Oh,
Which each 10 residents could get $3,000, to do a small home repair, which that's something, but that's mediocre. When we've given them something where they could potentially earn millions of dollars off of it, we've taken $51,000 in our community benefit for it. You get what I'm saying?
that's a problem.
Whereas this commercial property right now could probably sell for $300,000 for the lot by itself. The community only got $51,000 for it. Now, for me, I would think that if it's our land, let's keep our land and make them lease it,
Yeah,
right? So that
yeah.
we could be
Yeah,
making
do a build
money,
out.
right? We could be making money off of it, right? And the way that they would make their money is because it's a mixed development. You will have rental businesses at the bottom and affordable housing on top. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, that was a bad deal.
If you're leasing the land, it's a win-win situation. But if we basically donated
Gave
it
it
to you,
away, not even
and
sold it.
you threw us back $51,000 for it. That to me is not
No,
a
they
good
not because if you're
investment.
paying the lease of BSO, you ain't even got no 51,000
No,
because I
we
don't
ain't
know.
got nothing from. No, we don't have anything from BSO. No,
So that's what I'm saying. You're paying them. So even if those people gave you 51,000 back, but you probably paid more in the lease to BSO that's more than 51,000.
absolutely. The lease we have to pay. I think the lease is between $10,000 and $12,000 a month. $10,000 to $12,000 a month
To the person that got land for free.
to the people who got land for free.
Mm.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, what is the city getting back from that?
Sounds like nothing.
Nothing.
Sounds like nothing.
And so we can't continue those type of developmental practices, right? We can't grow our infrastructure and grow our business tax base, allowing people to come in and do whatever they want to do, right? Or
And
whatever.
so I have one last question. So in that transaction, both the attorney
Yeah,
and the manager were involved in the deal when it was being structured.
absolutely. And that's why, I've made some strong allegations. And I believe as though my allegations are appropriate based on the facts that I know what have occurred. Right? So, I mean, it's our job as the commissioner to be the first line of defense to protect the resident assets, right?
Yeah.
But we are allowing a lot of different personality clashes and ego trips and stuff like that to kind of get away with the business. Like you said, you were there one time and you experienced how the meeting was abruptly adjourned. Well, we've had that done 2 times since then, too.
Since then,
Yeah, our
that was
last
like 3 or
meeting.
4 months ago.
Yeah,
That was in November.
exactly. So our last meeting was adjourned like that. Our December 5th meeting was adjourned like that. So you see what I'm saying? It's a pattern of misbehavior where I'm alleging that there's serious charter violations, serious violations to Robert Rules of Order. It's just a lot of things that needs to be fixed, but continuing on in this fashion is impeding any progress that we are claiming that we want to have for our residents, right? And it's hard for me as an elected official too, and it's kind of frustrating in a sense because my pure intentions is to do what the residents would like for us to do. We got a lot of pushback when we just voted to eliminate the red light cameras. I mean, Sandra, this has been on my campaign literature since I've been running from 2018, that one of my initiatives were to eliminate the red light camera. In addition to that, there's other colleagues who campaign for that very like-minded reason, because it's not really providing any additional safety to our residents, right? And it's really just a revenue grabber. And then we've had this initiative for about, I want to say we've had the red light camera for almost 10 years, right? And for the first 5 to 6 years, we were net neutral. We wasn't making anything. Now, in the last couple of years, I'm being told that we're making about $176,000 annually. That still isn't putting a dent in our $23 million $23 million budget. Okay. Receiving $179,000 a year and our expenses is $23 million. I mean, we have to find more ways.
It's tough on the residents, because it's on residents, like you said.
Correct.
Median income is anywhere from $27,000 to $28,000.
Exactly.
The last thing you need is a ticket that you got to pay, because I think them tickets are like $150 something. $158,
and that's if you don't allow it to go to a citation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
because then if you allow it to go to a citation, it's $200 and something.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't want to uphold the rules of the road, right? I don't want people to be unsafe and running red lights.
$158 in any given month can totally destroy the budget of a family.
Correct.
And if it goes to $200, that's you wrecking their life almost. Yeah.
But listen to this, Sandra. We are
get a payday loan that's going to take you 2 years to pay back.
We're getting $178,000 from the red light cameras as far as net revenue, right? But then we just voted to give BSO $3.5 million more than what they were getting in our former contract, right? So why are we not making them work for that? Why our residents are still complaining about the lack of visibility, the lack of patrolling, the lack of just lawlessness. You see what I'm saying? They don't feel as though we're getting the community policing that we've been paying for, right? Yeah. So what is more important, having boots on the ground or having cameras that are just bringing you back $178,000, which isn't making much difference in the fact that we're the second highest tax millage rate in the county, the second or the third, because we're tied with Pembroke Park, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not making a dent in anyone's pocket. It's making it to where they are unable to live where they love to live. Mm-hmm. It's making it unaffordable for them, right?
Yeah. No, it's disruptive, because if I got a ticket for $158 right now, I'm gonna have some problems. So I'm like, listen,
right. So the fact of the matter is that everyone who voted for me and people who think like me, they knew well-heartedly that we were going to try to eliminate the red light cameras, right? Mm-hmm. So then now you have a little subgroup of individuals that are saying, oh, you're putting the city in danger because we just lost $178,000 in revenue.
No, but y'all gave $3.5 million.
But we just said, right, exactly.
Yeah, go to work, BSO. So one of the things, so we're going to have to start wrapping it up. I've been trying to keep the shows between 30 and 45 minutes, but
no problem.
That's some things we're going to talk about real quick. But one of the things I've been saying since I started the show this year is that we don't complain without offering solutions, right?
Absolutely.
So
I got solutions.
We've talked about some of the things that's happened at the commission meetings about the residents not being heard. So what are the solutions? And then this whole idea of this ethics thing, they need to really, we got a lot more stuff going on. Y'all got to decide if y'all going to be protecting immigrants soon enough, because the Florida's about to start letting them go into the churches and all these other places or whatever. There's some real life stuff that's happening. You know what I mean? So
absolutely
to get stuck on that, it sounds like just a little team too much, right?
Right.
Violate the P card policy. There's explanation for all of the expenses. Get out your feelings. We got real battles to fight right now, and so we fight those battles.
Yes,
that's my solution to that problem. So I need you to offer solutions on what it is that you think the residents can do in order to Let the meetings go all, and maybe
Yes.
not to the residents, it may be to the commissioners. Let these meetings happen, because there's no way how 3 out of the last 5 meetings couldn't go forward.
Correct.
That doesn't make sense, because we're there
Correct.
to do the business of the people. So I'm open
Absolutely.
to solutions.
So I think that as to my elected colleagues, that we need to go into the meetings with the minds to focus on problems and problem solving, right? There's so much stuff on, so much business. I don't want to call it stuff. So many items on the agenda currently that we need to get busy at working and doing the things that the residents have entrusted us to do on their behalf. And that's to handle business. I think that we should set aside any personality trait differences. I mean, anybody that has worked a job before know that you don't have to like people to work with them, right? It doesn't cost you anything to be cordial and conduct yourself in a professional manner, right? So I think that we have to focus on that and get back to the focus of trying to be progressively moving our city forward in a positive manner. I think that it's very divisive, what's going on right now, because you have it's kind of like the Democrats and the Republicans right now in the city, when we should all have the common goal to do what we have been entrusted to do for our residents and do our fiduciary obligations and provide programs and initiatives, making sure that policies and procedures are in place, making sure that the ordinances that we need to have a successful city organization are in place. Those are the type of things that we should be focused on. And that's something that I'm committed to focusing on. So a lot of times in the meeting, I get dinged a lot for having a lot of discussion. And that's because I try to be as transparent as possible. But being the fact that we are so behind in doing business, I'm going to have to talk less. That's going to be my focus. My focus is going to be to talk less. And if you have any questions, you're going to have to get with me via email, phone, or come see me in person, because I can't be doing all that talking up there when we got a jam-packed agenda with like 15 new business items that we haven't been able to get to.
From the last 30 from the
right. So I want to get back to that. The other thing is we have to get the community involved, and get the community involved for righteous reasons, not the buffoonery, right? Let's get them involved and activated to make the changes and be a driving force for that community unity that we are going to need facing some of the changes that are going to be coming from the top down, right? This is not the time for us to take things personal. This is the time for us to use all our strength and all our collective talent to make sure that our city is the Mecca of Broward County. That has always been our claim to fame before we even became a city. So I think that we have to get back to that. The other thing is that we have to make sure that we are making great fiduciary decisions on infrastructural projects that are going to be impactful and meaningful in changing the quality of life of our residents. We have to make sure that the initiatives that we've already committed to, that they are fully funded, right? And that it's continually funded, because we have a whole waiting list of individuals that's been waiting for resources. I think the other thing that we have to do better with, and this is me included, is going out there and really using our position to benefit our residents. What I try to do all the time, Sandra, is when I go out places, I'm trying to network with others, keeping in mind what my city needs, right? Okay, you're able to do this program. All right, how can we get it to West Park? You have this thing that can provide financial literacy, or you have a program that's going to provide resources. Bring it on. We have to be open-minded to partnerships, because we as a city, we're limited as far as what we can do. We're limited in resources. We're limited in finances. So we have to be willing to partner with other entities that's willing to come in and volunteer to do the things that our community needs. I have so many different organizations running me down on my phone. They're willing to partner to provide programs and initiatives that our residents are saying that they desperately need. And we have to have an open door policy where we are allowing them to come and earnestly hearing and wanting to partner with them to do the people's business. Lastly, I think that it's going to be beneficial to educate our residents because, like I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of miseducation. You have a lot of us, people of minority, that don't fully understand how government works, right? So you have to actually educate them on the whole process of how it works. Just the other day, I asked the city clerk to print me off 20 charters. I want 20 copies of the charters. This is what I told her because I want to be able to disseminate that and potentially have some type of discussion with our residents as far as what the charter entails and what it is that we would like to change. Coming up on the agenda, we're supposed to be discussing a workshop for the charter. So that's going to give the residents a sense of idea of how our city works, what it is that they feel like in the charter that impedes the work happening the way that we feel as though it should happen collectively. I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more community initiatives programs that I'm working to bring forth. We also have some exciting things on the agenda as far as ordinances to allow for mobile vending, which includes food trucks, also vacation rentals, which includes Airbnb.
Be careful of that one though.
Yeah, but we have to have the discussion with the community involvement. You get what I'm saying? That's why we have to be careful and we can't just make blindsided or one-sided decisions. We have to get the total picture of things. And that's why it's important to have these workshops before you start to make decisions so that we can have that inclusivity of what the community wants to decide. What's the pros? What's the cons? Bring all of that to the table so that everyone can weigh out what would be most beneficial. The other thing that we're going to be considering is multiple family housing and what that would look like and the implications on creating a code to allow those type of things. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. I'm looking forward to, and I'm still optimistic and excited about the changes that could potentially occur, right? We just have to work together and get on the same page and realize that it's not about it's not about us, but it's about everybody.
Right. It's about community first, right?
Community first, that's right.
Exactly. All right. Thank you for all of that. So a reminder for the people that live in U.S. House District 1, that's to send folks to D.C. U.S. House District 6. 1 is the Pensacola, Destin, New Fort Walton Beach area. That was Matt Gates' old seat. There's Dave Valmont that's running for that seat. Send her to Washington. And then there's a guy named Josh Wheel that's running in U.S. House District 6. He's also a Democrat. Send him there. And there's someone in New York that's running, because if we're able to send those 3 Democrats to the House of Representatives,
that's right.
Split the House, and I think Jeffries will be the new Speaker of the House, and then we will start seeing some changes happen in D.C. Because I mean, people are saying that the Democrats are silent because there's some stuff that they should jump up and down about. Everybody fights their resistance in a different way. So I'm going to give them grace to be like, they doing something and we just don't know the plan yet. But what I need folks to do is go ahead and vote on April 1st. If you're in District 6, where it's over there, Daytona Beach and all of, it's over there, Volusia County, all of those places, make sure you vote and you send those Democrats to the U.S. House. So we don't have to wait until 26 to flip the House. We can actually do it on April 1st, 2025. And we need to do that because the direction is that we're going in. Tough. We're 8 weeks.
We're in a tough spot. We're in a tough predicament. Yes, we definitely are. So we have to. Some of that is the importance of messaging.
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking elections have consequences and stuff like that, right? So what do you think that as just voters, regular people that's trying to get it day by day, what is your recommendation for them? How can they get involved? What can they do, if anything? Kind of just get through the days, like get to 26 and see how much of the things we can reverse, because it's going to be a lot to reverse by the time
I know. So let me just get your question clear. You want to know what it is that we as a people should focus on? Okay. I think that we have to definitely prepare and we have to get back to the basics of things. right? I think that there's going to be some tough times ahead of us economically, especially with all of these tariffs. I think that the price of food is already very inflated. It's going to be ultra inflated. I think that it's time to kind of stock up, prep, go back to gardening and providing some of your own resources and so forth, because I project that there's going to be a lot of more fake things that's coming up on the as far as fake food, fake this and everything like that. So you have to basically guard your health, because your health is your wealth.
Yeah.
So I just think get prepared in every facet. Do not spend your money frivolously, right? We just had a basically like a blackout opportunity the other day where they did the DEO blackout
Yeah,
protest.
no buying anything at, was it Target? Well, no, the February 28th was don't spend no money at
Yes,
all.
at all, right? Exactly, at nowhere. So I think that being economically savvy with your funding and saving, because you just never know. I think that it's also very important for you to have your passport or renew your passport, because you may have to take a sabbatical.
Yeah, I gotta renew mine. Mine is up next year. I might have to go
Yeah,
ahead
so
and try
I
to get
think
it
you have
now.
to have a plan A and a plan B, because I think that it's dangerous waters that we're treading, warring with our neighbors in Canada. I mean, I just think that it's just, a lot of things going on that you have to keep your eyes out on
Should
for.
Canada turn the lights off?
Right. Like what if they did?
Should they?
But listen, but how would people survive? Because no one really knows how to live without technology. So that's what I'm saying. You have to prep yourself in ways that you may have not imagined before. Hey, I'm personally getting like a radio with high wave frequency, just in case, so that if I do need to communicate, I'm seriously, you have to be
We're
prepared.
offering solutions. These are things that
Yeah.
we have to do. We complain, but we offer solutions. So get a high
Correct.
wave radio.
Exactly. But and with all seriousness, prepping is very important. Like people laugh at me all the time and I don't have any shame in it. They say you got a grocery store over here. And I say, yeah, it's best to be prepared so you don't have to get prepared. You stay
Yeah.
ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
Amen. Amen.
So that's what I'm telling people. Stay ready, you don't have to get ready, and make sure definitely you have 6 months or try to have, because I know it's economically challenging for everybody, but try to have at least 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, because you just never know what happens, what's going
We
to
might
happen.
need to do what our grandparents did. Well, I don't know my grandparents, but what my parents did, like, they used to have some stuff under the mattress
That's
because
what I'm
if
trying
they
to
decide
say.
to shut down the ATM card and then their Apple Wallet don't work, what
Exactly.
you
What
gonna
you
do?
gonna do?
What you gonna do?
What you gonna
You gonna
do?
have to slip something under the
Yeah.
mattress or somewhere.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
old saying that you're not supposed to have all your eggs in one basket. And that's what I would employ everybody, some common sense stuff to do. Like for real, for real.
Definitely. And so I'm gonna say a few more things and I'm gonna let you have the last word. So I still haven't watched a full conversation or interview with Mr. 47 because I can't. Okay, I can't do it. I like, but word on the street is that they're gonna stop paying the lease on the Obama library.
Oh, wow.
Hate, all right. Apparently they got some Teslas parked in the front of the White House because ain't nobody buying Teslas no more. How does that make sense? I don't even know that's what government's supposed to do, but okay. So but the funny, not the funny. The thing about it is most of the supporters, right? Most of the supporters, they can't afford no Tesla.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So okay, who you about to get the buy? Them people can't afford no Teslas, all right? But okay, and that's what they don't understand. They out here rah for a dude, and he's worrying about a guy that got $324 billion, and he mad that he lost 324 billion, but upset that he lost $29 billion. That's who this guy cares about, but he don't care about you. You can't even afford the car the man is selling. But all right. So and then they're firing government workers, right? 50% of them here, 20% there. They're firing people in the airline industry, the veteran affairs, like they're firing veterans. Like who does this, right? So and Department of Education, they're gonna get rid of 50% of the staff.
Very unpatriotic.
Secure job that you can have. And now that is no longer the case, right? So this is where we are, people. This is where we are. So again, if you're in Florida, you know them people, tell them to go vote. flip that house to at least slow the madness down, right? Try to do some changes. But those are the things that I know about, that this is the crazy that we're in. If there's anything you can do, save 6 months, get your passport, start growing stuff in the yard, stock up the food, you know what I'm saying? Do all those things, as Dr. Touchstone said. And I'm going to let her have the final word, and then we're going to close out this episode. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. But go
No,
ahead,
thank
final
you.
word.
I'm so honored to always come on your show. I thank you so much for always being willing to have me on your show. And I just want people to understand that politics is not easy, right? And like you were saying at the beginning, we're all human. So when we make a mistake, don't hold it against us forever. Allow us the opportunity to make the changes necessary to get it right.
All right, thank you so much. And always look at the body of work. Like, just people
Absolutely,
on their worst day
right.
of just some mishap.
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
can't take one snapshot in time and just judge the whole book by that one picture. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people who may not be familiar with Commissioner Dr. Touchstone, you have to take the time to not hear what other people are having to say in the negative light, but get to know me and my body of work for yourself so that you can understand why it's always community first.
Community first. Have a good one.
Community
Thank
first.
you. Thank you. Elections happen.